That is RWBY Volume 3.
Alright. Before you start commenting, we know there's an after credits scene.
What?
And we will watch it.
So
I liked the way this came around. There is a certain element of the, ex machina, ghost in the machine, kind of unknown savior. I guess that's the ex machina there. I don't know, what do you think?
I'm actually kind of disappointed. I feel like they're just, oh look, here's the season finale, so let's just throw in a bunch of things.
Well, I actually think that they did a pretty good job with putting it together and presenting it. What they presented us was well packaged and put through.
The way that they presented this story for this episode was good, but I feel like the story could have been written differently and made better. Like, with their ideas and what they had, they did a good job, but I feel like they could have done something differently.
I don't know, let's talk about, let's focus more on what happened rather than whether or not it should have happened differently.
Yeah.
We do get a payoff with Ruby's silver eyes.
Mm-hmm.
That's something that was mentioned in the very first episode and comes back 36 episodes later and pops up. I do like that.
I was on board with you. With Ruby's mom was a maiden, Ruby's a maiden. I thought, because we've established the maiden. We established that 6-7 episodes ago.
Right.
So that's a thing that we know. That's something that we do. And so we set it up, and here's the original team. Here's these people, they have the powers, they have the maidens, they're the guardians, they're the protectors, and now you're the protector, Ruby.
Right.
And we didn't know, we weren't sure, but now we do know. We know for certain that you're a maiden, and here's what you have to do.
Right.
But instead, it's something entirely new. We haven't heard anything about this silver-eyed warrior fairy tale, which they could have put in any time. They could have even just because, well, I guess you're right. I guess he doesn't mention the maidens at all. Yeah.
When he talks about that.
Even if silver-eyed warriors are super powerful and cool or whatever, like, they're super awesome warriors, it's just, okay, they're more than just super awesome warriors. They're magic and can shoot energy beams out of their eyes.
I'm not saying it's bad what they did. I'm just saying I would have liked more information beforehand.
Yeah.
I would have liked to be able to go back and watch the show and be, oh, they were playing, I would have liked to see it, to see that this is, you know.
They didn't say that she's not a maiden, though.
They didn't, but I feel like by saying it's a silver-eyed warrior, here's a different fairy tale, I feel that's what it feels like. It feels like that's the equivalent.
It does feel like an add-on on top of that. I will say this. There were many times during these last 6 episodes where I felt like they had built a really good case for a particular payoff. And then that payoff didn't happen. So as a writer, that kind of annoys me. As somebody who writes, I like the concept of Chekhov's gun. If there's a gun on the wall in the first act, somebody needs to get shot in the second act. If there's no gun on the wall in the first act, then nobody gets shot in the second act. And I think that's what you're saying, is there was no gun on the wall in the first act. I don't know if that's entirely the case. I haven't gone back. I haven't done a lot of like research and rewatching and delving into the stuff on this, because we've been doing our best to avoid spoilers, even though there was stuff that was spoiled for us before we started the show. So it's difficult to do any research without getting spoiled. And so there may be clues to this, there may be other things that were there, but I will agree with you in saying that it didn't seem like they had led up to the silver-eyed warrior. For me, everything seemed to be pointing to Ruby being a maiden.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I was thinking we've got this theme of maidens, we've got this idea introduced, and maybe they still will do more with it, because there's 3 other maidens aside from Cinder, so I'm guessing in Volume 4 there's going to be more with it. Maybe this is because I didn't want the characters to die, maybe I just wanted it to be a happier show. It felt like a lot of the stuff didn't have to happen.
Well, Pyrrha's death was particularly disturbing. For me, it harkens back to Cedric's death at the end of Goblet of Fire, where it was unnecessary from it wasn't a heroic sacrifice. It was an act of pure evil. So from that standpoint, it's really difficult to process it, because you're like, no, I want Pyrrha to...
Pyrrha is an amazing warrior, she's a hero, she's all of these amazing things, and
then
she gets an arrow to the heart kneeling on the ground in front of the villain.
Right, and it really is an effective way to show us the power that Cinder wields right now, and the disregard that Cinder has for human life. It's a particularly emotional death because it doesn't necessarily it doesn't gain the good side anything. I know we had talked about perhaps her death would be in sacrifice, that she would sacrifice herself because we knew that Pyrrha was going to die, and we had speculated that it was going to be that she was going to sacrifice herself and kill the Nevermore, or kill the dragon, or take the dragon down with her when she went and go out in this thing. And instead we had this very personal, very evil act, and it was just like another gut punch. And so I think in that aspect of it, I think it was effective.
A lot of stuff happened this season. First, Yang breaks someone's leg and the entire world thinks that she's a villain. That alone would have been a devastating enough event to take down the mood of the whole show. That alone could have twisted the show to a more serious thing, and it keeps building off of that. So we have the show up until this point is very lighthearted. No one dies, no one gets seriously injured, nothing bad happens in the show until this point. And then
there was some good emotional thing. There was John's emotional arc, there was the stuff going on with Jean and Pyrrha. We saw this whole thing with Jean growing as a character, which is interesting because Jean, who is supposed to be a secondary character in the show, has
the most character.
Like 10 times more character development than any of the main 4 girls. That was kind of interesting. And then this whole, I will say one thing that I found really disappointing, 3 volumes of build up to this incredible thing, and it's a personal grudge that all of a sudden makes everything small. I don't know how to describe it other than that. It's like... It's petty. Petty.
It's petty on a large scale, but it's petty.
Right. So that's really disappointing, and it makes me really... it makes me really hate this person that they're destroying the world for a personal grudge. So in that case, maybe it's an effective technique, but I don't know if it's just that I'm upset that Rooster Teeth, the writers have maimed and killed characters that I like over this personal grudge.
The reason that I'm having these mixed feelings is because I didn't want these things to happen. or if it's for a more founded reason, you know?
Yeah.
If it's just that I liked Pyrrha and I didn't want her to die and they shouldn't have killed her off, then obviously there's no reason for you to sit here and listen to me say that. And I can't tell if the reason I feel, if it's because of that or if it's just because, I don't know, just everything happened so fast. Suddenly, Yang breaks someone's leg, and then Penny dies, and then Pyrrha dies.
Did Penny actually die?
Yeah.
She was dismembered and
She's
left
a
on the
robot,
Colosseum floor.
She's a robot.
She
though.
may come back, but for
Rooster
the
Teeth
intensive
has-
purpose and
Confirmed she won't come back.
yeah, so she's dead. And then
Okay, well that wasn't accurately conveyed.
Yeah.
Just Rooster Teeth. She's a robot. You should be able to reprogram her, right? I don't know.
All
I mean,
of the wires are severed. All of the
well, it's not
whatever. Like
whether or not she can come back is
Okay.
not what I'm telling you.
all right.
irrelevant.
Penny dies, Pyrrha dies, Yang loses an arm, Blake gets stabbed in the stomach, Yang is suddenly despondent. Makes sense. She doesn't want to do anything, so Ruby loses Yang. Then, Ruby loses Blake, Ruby loses Weiss, and now all of a sudden, everything that they've built in the show, everything that we've seen for the last 3 volumes, in one 30-second clip is gone, and we have an entirely new group who are going off to do something new, and it's like all of the build-up, all of what's happened, it just feels as if they're saying they're putting that to the side.
Well, I guess there are a couple of questions.
I've seen some seasons.
Can I ask my questions, please? What was your fault?
I have seen some Volume 4 character designs, so we're going to get more Yang and Blake and people and whatever. So it's not like
it's
they're
Mass
just
Effect 2. You go around, you collect your crew, you build up their loyalty, you go on a big suicide mission, you know?
We can only hope. My question is, did you enjoy watching it so far?
I did. I wanted to watch the next episode.
Alright.
It made me want. The only reason I'm complaining is because I care about the show and I care about what happens.
So then that answers the next question is, do we want to watch more of it?
I do.
Yeah.
And so for me, I find myself in the position of being less critical. I think my ideas were really good. I think the way that I would have written this show would have been better than the way that they wrote the show. But I did enjoy what?
I mean, true.
All right. So here's what I will do. I will post a link down in the description area. I will post a link to things that I have written, and then you guys can go and read the stuff that I have written,
content. You can
and you can
and
rip it apart and tell me about everything that I've done wrong. In the same way that I have criticized the Rooster Teeth writers for this. But right now, what we're going to do is we're going to watch the after credits.
Ooh.
All right, here we are, after credits scene. This is where they're going to tie it all together for us. Okay.
semblance.
Okay.
We haven't seen him use a semblance until now.
All right.
At least that's what I'm assuming that is.
Also, if Crow left in autumn, why is he now watching them when it's winter? Wouldn't he have already just gone out
Because
his
he's
way?
watching
and done
over them.
stuff?
Just like that's the reason he knows what Ozpin said to her the first night. He loves Ruby and Yang, and he's watching over them.
So, if we go back and we watch that first episode, are we going to see a crow in the room?
I don't think it's going to
And if
be in
we-
the room.
If we don't see it, or are we going to see a crow somewhere flying around there? And if
We saw the crow outside of Yang's window
when
she was doing the voiceover. At the end
for what?
At the very end of the episode.
at the end of the episode where Yang was in the room being sad.
Unless that was a raven. Ravens are big.
Yeah, ravens are really big.
Maybe that's Raven's semblance.
Yeah. Well, Raven and Crow are siblings, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
and we know that
like
some
so many
semblances are hereditary.
Right,
Not
so-
very many of them. Though.
So like Weiss's family, the Schnee family, their semblance, all of them have the same semblance, and it could be that Raven and Crow, their family has the same semblance as well. I think, all right, let's do it. That's our crackpot theory for the end of this episode. Raven can turn into a raven and Crow can turn into a crow. One of those is proven, and one of those is speculation. I'll let you.
I'll let you
figure out which one is
which. Pinky and the brain. One is a genius, the other's insane.
Did I miss a new tradition?
No.
Okay.
I was just thinking.
Unless that tradition is awesome singing.
Yeah, I really did miss that one.
I was just thinking, because it's like how they never actually say in the song
Which one is the
which one
genius
is the
and which
genius
one is
and which one
insane?
is insane.
I think we know by watching the show.
Right. Pinky is definitely the genius.
That's
Yeah, that's why I said Pinky and the Brain, genius and insane, because, you know,
Yeah.
it's
So yeah,
in order.
Volume 3, Chapter 12, Volume 3 as a whole. Gone through, we've wrapped up, and by the time this is out, Volume 4 will have started.
No. Volume 4 will not have started.
When are they starting?
It's like 3 weeks from now.
Oh,
It's
okay.
like the 24th.
I mean,
I think
we have
that's
3
when it comes
episodes.
out.
We can just.
I don't know, we could stretch this out. No,
We don't have any other content though.
well, no, we're gonna. Okay, so coming up, we're going to. Do you think you'll have time tonight
Yeah.
or tomorrow to do a To the Nines
Yeah.
on Volume 3?
Definitely.
All right, so coming up, you can expect a To the Nines on Volume 3, and you can expect that Storytime Girl and I will react to the trailer for Volume 4. And then Storytime Girl and I are going to watch some of the RWBY Chibi stuff, and my understanding is that, like Volume 1, it gets better with time. So, please address all of your hate comments to Papa Storytime in the comment section. Papa Storytime, this is why I don't like you. Let me count the ways. If you could do your reasons alphabetically, it would be so much better for me.
We would really appreciate that.
Until next time.
There's always room on the couch.
Always room on the couch.
I was gonna say, wait, who am I? It's not on the way.